So I'm just going to go ahead and read it, and we'll discuss. So this is from Severlin. Yesterday, this was posted. It says, we are entering a new decade with grand plans for Dungeons and Dragons Online. And I'm writing today to share some of our ideas with you. Past decade plus has been an amazing adventure, and we thank you for being a part of it. We're kicking off 2020 with a bit of polish and refresh of two DDO's most historic adventure packs, Catacombs and Delira's Tomb. Hopefully y'all know about that by now. We're getting epic Catacombs and Delira's coming in Update 45, and there's going to be revamped Heroic Loot, which is largely a snooze fest. Hopefully they will make the loot a little bit more exciting. I'm excited about the dungeons, but the loot was like, come on. Are you serious? Throw me a bone. You know, on one hand, the Catacombs loot is really low level, so it's like, well, what can you expect out of really low level gear? But, like, I always point to, you know, when they did the loot revamp a couple years ago for the low level Sharn Syndicate chain, they came out with some level 2 items, which were really nice for level 2. Like, I mean, the Runic Trinket is just a wonderful caster trinket. You got Bellows Ring, you've got Quan's Band. I mean, these were pretty nice, usable level 2 items. I use Quan's Band on Ginger Spice when I'm low level, like from level 2 to 5. And then, you know, I've certainly used the Runic Trinket on casters. So, you know, those are really good examples of, you know, that the team, you know, SSG can get creative and produce some interesting and, you know, stuff that even a veteran player will look at and go, oh, that's pretty neat. Maybe I could use that, or I'd like to get that. But the stuff I'm seeing, you know, like the Lobby gear that was in Keep on the Borderlands and the Lobby gear that they posted for Catacombs and Delirious is like, so, come on, guys. Okay, so both of these adventures will get epic versions in our next game update, which also features previously announced Alchemist class. Yes. You know, they were originally saying that Alchemist was going to come out in December. It was going to be a patch for Update 44, but clearly now it's just like it's Update 45. Will arrive in February, so this is the first time we've gotten a date for Update 45. Not a specific date, but they're telling us February, which is, you know, it's useful. You know, here it is, you know, January 22nd. Probably at this point we could have figured out it wasn't going to be in January, but it's nice to know that you know, that they're now telling us that it's going to be February. Hey, Deathless, good morning to you. Okay, moving on. Season 1 of the Hardcore League was met with enthusiasm and excitement. Are those different things, or is that just redundant? Enthusiasm and excitement. I gotta look. I gotta look this up. Enthusiasm. Intense and eager enjoyment, interest, or approval. Okay, well. Excitement. A feeling of great enthusiasm and eagerness. The kid's got enthusiasm. He was so enthusiastic, he was excited too. Okay, in any event, Season 1 of the Hardcore League was met with enthusiasm and excitement, so we're making it a reoccurring event. In Season 2, Mortality will be replaced by DDO's classic foe, Eritrikos, who will empower new champions with devilish powers. Will be empowered with devilish powers? Really? What does that mean? I'm enthusiastic. Somebody already pointed out that the search term hardcore Harry might produce some results that we aren't looking for when we're searching for information on Hardcore League 2. Just in case you're watching and you don't know, at least for 10 years, and I don't know where it comes from, but for as long as I've played the game, Eretrikos, the Shroud boss, his nickname is Harry. I have no idea where that comes from, but everybody calls him Harry. So apparently Hardcore Harry is going to empower us with devilish powers. Okay. I don't know what that means. I'm intrigued. Expect future seasons to test your skill in how you build and play characters. Well, that's what Season 1 did. In addition to new rewards. I like that. I like new rewards. You will read more about these changes as we near future seasons. Okay. Well, I mean, that kind of tells me, like, Season 2 is not next month, because if it was, they'd probably have more details for us. I bet it'll be summer. I bet it'll be summer. Summer's a slow time. I bet they'll try to do that, generate some enthusiasm, and, you know, bring some people back to the game when they wouldn't, when, you know, normally they're out doing other things, like getting sunlight exposed to their skin, instead of living in a cave like, you know, some of us gamers do. "2020 will also bring..." The word of the day is enthusiasm, folks. Whenever I say it, you get up and dance, okay? And I want you to dance with enthusiasm. I just said it. Okay, 2020 will also bring a long-standing community request to the game, a 64-bit client. The 64-bit client can improve the overall performance of the game for many, and we look forward to its release later this year. It doesn't really mean anything to me. I've asked people, like, what does that mean? More calculations per second, I guess. If it helps reduce lag, great. I guess it can't hurt, but, you know. I guess that's cool that's coming. I mean, it is. I guess, yeah, I guess. We also have user interface improvements planned for the shared account bank to make it easier to store, sort, and access the items you've collected. Better memory. MN Developer says better memory and the ability to see more than 2 gigabytes. What does that mean? The ability to see more than 2 gigabytes. I don't even know what that means. I mean, I know what a gigabyte is, but I don't, what do you mean see more than 2 gigabytes? "32-bit apps can only access 2 gigabytes of memory no matter how much you have on your machine. 64-bit apps can access 15 terabytes. Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate you. I might not like the news I'm about to read. Well, the only news I didn't like so far is news that's not explicitly in here, which I will be discussing. Let's see. Oh, improvements to shared bank. Some of those, I mean, I think that's just the stuff they've already told us in the Update 45 preview that's on the monitor right now. So we're going to be able to sort the shared bank with all sorts of different sorting options, like alphabetically A to Z, alphabetically Z to A. We're going to be able to sort by level. I think that's really cool. I'm going to maybe have to get into the habit of using my shared bank perhaps a little differently. I mean, I use my shared bank for a lot of long-term storage and a lot of just tossing junk into now, that I don't want to deal with now, that I'll just deal with later. Hey, Danny, good morning. Other quality of life improvements are in the planning stages as well, and we'll talk more about it later this year. How about customizable UI? I don't want to be locked into hotbars. Let me create my own hotbars. The shape of them and stuff, or that would be cool. Okay, moving on. Spring will bring a new adventure pack set in Stormreach, where the gatekeepers need your help to determine the fate of some missing acolytes in the Cerulean Hills. I like that. I like that we're gonna be revisiting the Cerulean Hills. I think that's cool. I love when they inject something new into, an existing place like that. And investigate the sudden appearance of a strange hut in the harbor. There's going to be a strange hut in the harbor. I'll bet that strange hut in the harbor will appear soon, because it'll just be like a teaser. Everybody, it'll generate enthusiasm. People are like, what's this strange hut in the harbor? Kind of like there was a strange boat out in the harbor of Sharn, and everybody was like, what's that weird looking boat out there? And then we got Soul Splitter, and we realized that was the entrance to the 1960s Bond villain subterranean lair, which is pretty cool. It was already on Lamania. Interesting. Strange hut. As long as it's not Baba's hut, because if it's Baba's hut, well, let's not go there. Let's see. So spring will bring a new adventure pack set in Stormreach. So we were talking, that's April, right? Or May. So if we're getting if update 45 is coming February, it's probably gonna be 3 months. So February, March, April, May. Probably May. On the Cerulean Hills side of docks from Korthos. Cool. In the summer, we're considering a new adventure pack in addition to some legendary versions of well-known raids. But we want to keep that unannounced for now. We're considering a new adventure pack in addition to some legendary versions of well-known raids. Legendary versions of well-known raids. Let's brainstorm a minute, shall we? Now I'm going to guess that if a raid is already epic, they're not going to make like a legendary version of it too, right? So I don't think they're going to, well-known raids. So I don't think it's going to be like Vault and Knight, right? I mean, we already have Heroic and Epic. I mean, Legendary too. Are we really going to have 3 different versions? Maybe. I doubt Titan, because I wouldn't consider Titan a well-known raid. They said well-known raid, and that's kind of a weird term, well-known. But, I'm taking that to mean like more popular raids. And I'm going to go ahead and infer that means more popular raids that don't already have epic versions. So what does that mean? What raids is that? Well, It could mean heroic abbot. It's not exactly a popular raid. Mark of Death is not really an epified version of the heroic abbot raid. It's really a sequel, but I doubt it. What else? Yeah. So Vision of Destruction and Tower of Despair, I think, would be pretty high on the list of suspects. I've always wanted to see. Well, I was just saying, I don't think Von 6 because we already have Epic. Were we really going to have a heroic Von 6 and Epic Von 6 and Legendary Von 6? That seems like serious overkill. I'm not going to complain. I just doubt they'll do that. But if there's one thing I'm good at, it's being wrong. I've been wrong so many times. It's one of my many unmarketable skills. Okay, so Vision of Destruction would be easy, right? I mean, that's a room. So to make that legendary, oh, that'd be really cool. It seems like, it'd be easy. Well, see, Chrono already has Heroic and Epic too, and I'm just thinking, like, I really doubt we're going to have Heroic, Epic, and Legendary versions of the same raid. I'd rather basically see epified versions of Heroic raids that don't have an Epic option. Hey, Mesmerita. So Tower of Despair, yeah, I mean, a lot of people, that was endgame rating when I joined this game. And I have always, I was, when Amrath, the Amrath quest, the Trials of the Archon came out, I was so disappointed because the way they were originally billing that, like, as it was leading up to that, I don't know, they led us to believe that, Amrath was going epic, and it didn't. We got something totally separate. So Tower of Despair, Legendary, that'd be super cool. And I have always salivated at the thought of, during the end fight of Tower of Despair, there's all those other devils up there. The Devil Council. I've always salivated the idea of fighting all those guys at the same time. The ones that are like, they're talking to Horoth, and they're like, look, the Stormreach folks are here, you clean it up, sucka. And then they just teleport out. Oh, that'd be so cool. What else? What other raids are there? Let's use the power of Google. And let's see. Caught in the Web. Caught in the Web does not have a heroic and epic version, which is just epic. So I think that's a candidate. Might be kind of neat. I'm not a big fan of that raid. That raid was always a disappointment to me because, if you're a pen and paper person, yeah, Epic Anna. Oh. If you're a pen and paper person and you had the old module, I think it was Q1, Queen of the Demon Web Pits, Loth resides in a place. Her lair is called the Great Fane of Loth. It's like her compound. And when back in 2012, when they were leading up to our first expansion, I imagined we would get to the Great Fane of Loth and fight her there. That's what I wanted so bad. To see the Great Fane of Loth come to life in DDO, but we didn't get that. We just fight Loth in a like a movie of Loth, a projection of Loth. That has always not sat well with me, and I've always wanted to revisit that. But even if they did make web legendary or whatever, they're not going to change. I doubt they would change it. They're not going to add the Great Fane of Loth, but I'm just saying. Yeah, I agree with you, Deathless. I'm right there with you. I mean, I'd love to see an epic classic pack with Gwillens and Stormcleave and Tyr and Zorian Cipher and the Pit and all the just the classics. Love that. Okay, what else do we have? I'm looking down the list. Reaver's Fate. Maybe Reaver's Fate. I mean, The Fall of Truth is not Epic Reaver's Fate. That's like a sequel. So they could do Reaver's Fate. Seems like that'd be a pretty easy one for them to make legendary too. There's not a lot to that raid. That'd be cool. That was a popular raid when I started playing. It was an end game raid, but it was a popular raid when I first started playing. Titan, I seriously doubt they'll touch Titan. But who knows? And that's it. That's the only ones that aren't already have two different difficulties, like heroic and epic or heroic and legendary. So, and Master Artificer and Lord of Blades already have heroic and epic versions. So I would be surprised, like I said, if they were going to come out with raids that had like heroic and epic and legendary options for them. I just have a feeling that it's going to be raids that only have one difficulty option right now in terms of like heroic / epic, like Web, like Vision of Destruction, like Tower of Despair, maybe even heroic Abbot, Reaver's Fate, maybe Titan. We'll see. Hey, Slug. Good morning. Talking producer's letter. Right now we're just imagining what raids they could possibly be talking about when they say in the summer we're considering a new adventure pack in addition to some legendary versions of well-known raids. We want to keep that unannounced for now. So we're considering a new adventure pack. Does that mean they may or may not be giving us an adventure pack? Hopefully we'll be getting an adventure pack, and just the one that it's going to be is being considered right now. Moving on to the second from last paragraph. As we gaze further into the second half of the year, we are thrilled to share news about our next expansion. I'm enthusiastic. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there and say this. I think that is outstanding news. I'm very excited. I am also enthusiastic, which, as we learned in paragraph 3, that enthusiasm and excitement apparently are not exactly the same thing. Okay, but according to the Google machine, they basically are, but whatever. I mean, I think this is great. I think this is so wonderful for DDO. Now I'm going to take you back down memory lane a little bit for those of you who weren't around, or maybe you were. After Shadowfell, which was affectionately called Shadowfail, a failed expansion because it was unfinished, it was the biggest cause for failure, and the loot sucked. After Shadowfell, the DDO team said they were never going to do another expansion. That's what they said. So it was like, bummer. And all of a sudden, 4 years later, out of the blue, they're like, yeah, we're coming out with Ravenloft. Like, whoa, that's so exciting. Cool. We're actually getting an expansion again when, we were told we'd never get one. And, wow, that's great. That did well, which encouraged them to come out with Sharn. That did well. They did a great job on both Ravenloft and Sharn. I'm not saying they're flawless. Sure, we could pick them apart. But I think they did a great job on both of those expansions. And they were both successful. And so, because of that, they want to do another expansion. I think that's great. I'm glad that there's a business model for them to do that. I'm glad that there's, there's enough revenue generating potential there for them to want to do that. That's wonderful. I mean, that means DDO has, more life in it, right? And that's great. Okay, so as we gaze further in the second half of the year, we are thrilled to share news about our next expansion, which will see players travel into the mystical plane of the Feywild. Now, I don't know much about the Feywild, and I want to share with you a video that somebody else posted in a response to this. I'll see if I can find it. This is just like a 5-minute video here. Because, so the Feywild and Shadowfell are actually like opposite sides of the same coin kind of thing. So this is a link I'm going to share with you to D&D Beyond article. They did this interview with one of the pen and paper Dungeons & Dragons developers. And it is called D&D Shadowfell and Feywild Explained. Now, some of this information isn't totally congruous with DDO because, well, I guess in 5th edition, like Ravenloft is part of Shadowfell now. In the event, this is just, like I said, it's like a 5-minute video. I found it interesting to help me understand what the Feywild is. So I'm going to share it with you. If you want to watch it sometime, there it is. And so the Dungeons & Dragons pen and paper developers talks about the Feywild and Shadowfell and like compares and contrasts them. And like I said, I found it interesting because I didn't really know anything about the Feywild. So there you go. See, so our next expansion, DDO's 5th expansion. We'll see players travel to the mystical plane of the Feywild. Joining characters on their trip will be our next new player character race, the Shifter. I don't know anything about Shifters. Capable of temporarily embracing their bestial aspects to rend enemies and survive. I mean, right away, of course, when I hear Shifter, I'm thinking Druid synergy, right? I love my caster Druid. Maybe there's going to be some synergy there. I mean, you can bet there probably will be. But I'm all for more races, so that's exciting. Shifter sounds, flavorful and unique. So, hell yeah, give it to me. Another thing we can say today about our upcoming Feywild expansion is that you will need to learn powerful ways to overcome challenge, and doing so will gain you the experience necessary to push past level 30 for the first time in DDO history. That is a huge teaser. Like, What does that mean? Some people are already responding and saying, we don't need levels past 30. Others are saying, well, that doesn't necessarily mean level 31 or, 2, 3, whatever. They could be something else, something like, I mean, we have epic destinies. Maybe we'll get, like legendary destiny, or something like that. Who knows? But maybe it'll just be like level 31, 2, and 3. Maybe it'll just be level 31. Maybe it'll be level 31 too. So that's interesting. They have said in the past, I thought they said in the past that like level 30 was going to be it, but in the event, somehow we're going to be advancing past level 30. Yeah, oh, they already said, Deathless. This is important. I'm glad you mentioned it. They already said that epic reincarnation will not require you to be beyond level 30. So for those of you who are rolling your eyes going, oh, now I got to get to level 35 to epic reincarnate, no. They've already said you can epic reincarnate at 30. So that's good. Because, man, when they went from 28 to 30, that was some serious extra grind to get those epic path lives. And I was, caught with my pants down a little bit, metaphorically speaking, because, I was taking my time. I didn't have all my epic path lives on Voodoo. And, I was just sort of taking my time because there just wasn't really a lot going on in DDO. And then, so I was dragging ass getting all my epic path lives. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, now you're going to have to go to 30 to get them. Like, oh, man. I wish I had gotten them all before that. 'Cause that, it was an extra couple million XP. Yeah, I probably will apply to Iconics as well. $35, the same XP requirements as 30 does today. I highly doubt that. I really doubt that they're just going to be like, boom, you're 35. I do not think that's going to happen. But I've been wrong before. So new expansion. That's cool. Wow. Feywild. I think I would have preferred the astral plane. But, okay. Could do it. It's very interesting. I'm excited. I'm enthusiastic. Okay, final paragraph. We have other surprises in store for 2020 as well, but the above is a high-level roadmap of our current schedule. As always, the roadmap can change, and we will endeavor to let you know how things are going as plans become realities. We are very thankful for your support of this game for more than a decade, and we are thrilled to embark on a new decade of adventure with you. Heart, 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 Severlin. Okay, it doesn't really say heart, heart, heart. I just threw that in because I'm enthusiastic. Yeah, I agree with you, Deathless. I'm really, yeah, I give SSG 2 thumbs up. I mean, I think they've been doing a bang up job. Again, we can pick it apart. They're not perfect. All of us could find something to complain about. But I mean, I think the direction of DDO is, I think DDO is in a better place. The direction we're going compared to where it was going, when Turbine had it, I love it. It's funny too because I remember in that first year, saying things like, I feel like we'd be in the same place if Turbine had it versus Standing Stone Games. But after that point, things really started to gear up, because it took Standing Stone Games, back in that first year, it took them the better part of that first year to sort of, I think, get things revved up, as the kids say. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that I always point to with respect to Standing Stone Games doing a bang up job is, look at the number of quests that we're getting in updates. It's like 5 quests is like the standard now. Whereas if you go back a few years, like, we were getting like 1, 2, 3 quests in an update. You have to go back really, really far to like the high road to see an update with 5 quests in it. So that's cool. Captain Kronk. Maybe with the expansion, there will be some early mid-20s gear sets. And we just got a whole bunch of early epic stuff and keep on the Borderlands. I don't think there are sets there, but I'm pretty happy with the Lobby epic gear we got. We're also going to see some new Lobby epic gear coming out of Catacombs, and some mid-epic gear coming out of well, actually, like mid to upper epics, which for epic Deliras, which I really think they need to reduce the level of that stuff. But as it stands, I'm just the loot is just a snooze fest. It just does not. It doesn't generate enthusiasm. Yeah, that's a real disappointing thing to me, is that they need to do an epic voice of the master. They need to. It's like the most iconic piece of gear in the game. And for them to just overlook, oh, we're not doing that. Like, what? What are you talking about? Get creative. I can certainly understand, like, they're like, well, they don't want to give us more XP out of this. Fine. You don't have to make it more than 5% XP. Get creative. It's a level 5 trinket plus 5% experience with plus 1 good luck. That's a neat little trinket for somebody who's a little bit newer. Doesn't have a Lobby trinket. Let's come up with a creative, level 20 trinket that has like, 5% plus, XP. How about plus 2 good luck? And then how about, plus 3 exceptional bonus to all skills? Or plus 3 insightful, or plus 3, some kind of, or something like that. That would be an interesting item. Maybe a gear swap. People are trying to get their stats a little bit higher to meet a skills check or something. There's so many creative things that they could do. My only hope here is if they don't decide to go epic with the voice of the master, that someday we'll get epic Threnal, and then at that point, hopefully they'll go back and add it, because that way we'll have both the epic Mantle the World Shaper, and then they would backfill the epic voice of the master, and then come out with some sort of way to put them together like we have now for the heroic stuff. Okay, so what's missing? This is the disappointment for me. There's no talk of a classic module. And when I was asked on DDO Cast, when we did the 2019 year in review, we were asked, what are we looking forward to in 2020? And here's what I said. Module X1, Isle of Dread, as the classic module. You see, Isle of Dread, which is one of the most, if not the most, published modules from the olden days. That was supposed to be our classic module in 2019. That's what they originally led us to believe. But they changed it to Keep on the Borderlands. Keep on the Borderlands is great. I was happy with that. It's fine. They basically said, Isle of Dread's got dinosaurs. That's going to require a lot of work, and we don't want to rush it. We want to do it right, so we're going to do Keep on the Borderlands next. And then they came out with dinosaurs in Sharn expansion, so it kind of was like, okay, they're doing some groundwork for, they're getting some pieces in place, getting ready for Isle of Dread in 2020, and they've said that Isle of Dread. They've said it's not here, but in the response, somebody asked, "What about Isle of Dread?" and they said they're not doing it. It's not coming in 2020. So that's a big disappointment for me. I was really looking forward to Isle of Dread in 2020. I'm bummed out, and that it's not going to be our classic module. I'm bummed out that there's no mention of a classic module, which I think we've had a classic module every year since classic modules started coming out. Right? We had Haunted Halls of Evening Star, Temple of Elemental Evil, Slave Lords, White Plume Mountain, Keep on the Borderlands. Am I missing one? %, XP bonus here, right? What do I think of new epic raids? I was hoping Titan, maybe TOD. We were talking about that earlier, Eternal. So, let me sum up what I think. And this is just what I think. And I'm nobody. So we'll back up a little bit. And it says, we're considering new adventure pack in addition to some legendary versions of well-known raids. I think well-known, the term well-known is a little odd. I'm assuming they mean popular raids. I could be wrong in that assumption. So I'm going to assume it means popular raids. And I'm also going to assume that they are not going to take raids that already exist in both epic and heroic, or heroic and legendary. So I don't think we're gonna get like Von 5.6. Okay, I don't think we're gonna have like heroic Von 5.6 and epic Von 5.6 and legendary Von 5.6. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they're gonna pick raids that don't already have like a higher level version. Okay. So we looked at the list of raids earlier, and so we had like Vision of Destruction. I think would be pretty high on that list. That would be a pretty easy one to epify or make legendary. It's just like a room, right? So Vision of Destruction that only exists in heroic. So that's a candidate. Tower of Despair only exists as a heroic raid. I mean, I guess technically it's an epic raid since it's base level 20. But it was out before the days of epic, so Vision of Destruction, Tower of Despair, heroic Abbot raid is a possibility. Mark of Death is not an epified version of that raid. Mark of Death is a sequel. That's a different raid. So possibly Abbot, possibly Reaver's Fate. Okay, Fall of Truth is not an epified version of Reaver's Fate. Fall of Truth is a sequel, so we could see Reaver's Fate. Somebody mentioned Titan. I doubt it, because they see legendary versions of well-known raids. Titan is like a forgotten raid. It's a dinosaur, extinct, if you will, which saw a recent resurgence in popularity last year because when they came out with Falconry available for free agent favor, you had to do the Titan raid to get your 700 free agent favor. Because if you want to get Falconry through free agent favor, which is 700 free agent favor, you got to do practically every single free agent quest in the game, which means Titan raid. But at this point, most people who wanted to get their falconry through favor have done that. And we have a little informal case study done on that, because when that became a thing last year, Nimvind, my guildie, started hosting public Titan raids, because he was like, you know what, I want to help guildies and the whole server get their free agent favor. Like, how cool was that? Thank you, Nimvind. That was really, really awesome of you. I give you mad props for doing that. Because let me tell you guys, leading a public Titan raid, that's cool. I mean, that's cool, and that's awesome. The raid knowledge for that raid has all but died off. There's longtime veterans that know how that raid works, but most of them don't want anything to do with bringing pugs in there, because that raid's a pain in the ass, and nobody wants to explain it. And so you just don't see it pugged. And Nim was like, I want to help people get their free agent favor. Like, that's awesome, Nim. I love you, buddy. But interest in that died out towards the end of the year, so much so that he stopped hosting as a public raid, because nobody was coming to it anymore. Like, people that wanted their free agent favor, most of them, I think, have gotten that by now. So it's just, Titan is back to the category of just dead raid. Plus, they're going to have to make some changes. That thing is buggy, and they're going to have to dig into the nuts and bolts of that raid if they're going to make it legendary. So I really doubt Titan. So I think we're looking at, VOD, Reaver's Fate, Tower of Despair as the highest potential candidates. Could even do Caught in the Web, though. Caught in the Web does not have multiple difficulties. It's just epic. There's no heroic version of it. So, and it's a low B epic, so, coming out with a legendary version, I think is more realistic, as opposed to, Defiler the Just only has one difficulty too, but it's already, a base level, 27, or, no, it's like a base level 30 raid, so it basically is already, it is legendary already. I'm your favorite American DDO guru. Thanks, Captain Crump. You second the motion for a 10% voice of the master. I mean, I certainly wouldn't complain. I don't think they're going to do that. But I would welcome it. So about 30 plus, is it going to be legendary levels then with legendary spheres and stuff? I mean, 20 to 30 can be done if one is LFM lucky, which is not that often on a certain half-dead server, but I'm not looking forward to grinding out another more or less. I get, is that collective 5 million or even more? Well, here's the thing. They've already said that you're going to still be able to epic reincarnate. Oh, cool. You're still going to be able to reincarnate at level 30. So everybody stay calm. You're not going to have to get to level 35 or whatever to epic reincarnate. You're still going to be able to epic reincarnate at 30. But we don't know. It could just be they're going up to level 33 or 35 because they're being ambiguous about it. Some people have suggested maybe there's just going to be, maybe we're not actually getting levels beyond 30 because, the way that it reads, it says you will gain the experience necessary to push past level 30 for the first time in DDO history. I mean, at face value, that says level 31 plus. But, we could pick it apart and, maybe it means something else. Maybe it means, legendary destinies, right? Or something. From Coco on the forum, we are quite a ways out from being prepared to announce specifics on our plans for character progression past level 30. What we are willing to say at this point, however, is that one of our goals is to not increase the amount of XP required to epic. Yes, I was referring to that. Do I think a 64-bit will help lag? I hope so. I mean, if you can do more calculations per second, then it stands to reason that it would. That's just from my lay perspective. Because, I think a lot of the lag that we experience is just the instance getting bogged down in calculations. But yeah, just like MN said, that definitely depends what's causing the lag. But I'd bet the farm that we're still going to have lag after a 64-bit client. So if you're hoping the lag's going to all go away, I think you should just set those hopes aside. There's still going to be lag. You can pretty much guarantee that. Will it help? I hope so. It kind of stands to reason that it will help some of the lag. I mean, I think we have lag from multiple sources, so I think that it will help. I hope that it'll help with, like, for example, one example where it probably will help, because this is a function of calculations, and it is like many of us experience gear swapping lag because it's got to recalculate all your stats that change because you swapped out your charisma item for an electrical absorption item. So you just get that little bit of that half a second of a stutter because you swapped your gear and it's got to recalculate everything. I've always found that horribly irritating. Some people say they don't get that, but I do. And I know a lot of people out there get that. So, I think a 64-bit client could, it seems to me, would help with something like that. That would be cool.